There is a particular kind of sadness that doesn't look like sadness at all. It looks like the child who never cries because they learned early that tears are useless. It looks like the teenager who acts mature for their age because they had to be. It looks like the adult whose calmness is admired, whose resilience is praised, whose independence is envied, even though everything about that independence was born from a quiet, invisible emergency they never got to recover from. Growing up too fast doesn't make you strong. It makes you responsible for wounds you never had the chance to avoid. And the world rarely sees the cost, because the world loves a survivor, even if the survival was a trauma response. There is a particular kind of pain that stays with you long into adulthood. The pain of realizing you raised yourself long before you ever had the language to understand what that meant. Most people think childhood ends gradually, but for some, childhood ends in an instant. The moment they realize no one is coming to save them, and everything they became afterwards was shaped by that single moment of truth. A truth so quiet, most people don't hear it, but those who lived it never forget it. This is the dark side of growing up too fast. Imagine a girl named Lonnie. She is 8 years old, sitting on the edge of her bed, legs dangling, feet not yet touching the floor. Her mother has been crying in the bathroom for the past 20 minutes. Her father left 3 years ago, and left behind more ghosts than memories. There is no money for school fees this term. Dinner is a bowl of noodles they share between them, because that's all they have left. The house is not violent. It is not chaotic. It is not the kind of environment people look at and immediately say, this child is suffering. It is the quieter type of dysfunction, the kind that hides beneath politeness, beneath smiles, beneath the subtle exhaustion of adults who never got their own childhoods either. Lonnie sits quietly, listening to the muffled sobs. She does not play with toys. She does not ask questions. She does not complain. She just sits there, thinking about how she can help her mother stop crying. She wonders if she should clean the living room, even though it's already clean. She wonders if she should pretend she's not hungry. She wonders if maybe, if she can behave perfectly, her mother will stop feeling so overwhelmed. So she tiptoes to the kitchen and washes the plates that have already been washed. She sweeps the floor that was swept just an hour ago. She folds her clothes with military precision. She rehearses what she will say to her mother when she comes out of the bathroom. Something light, something cheerful, something that won't make things worse. Children are not supposed to think like this. They're not supposed to strategize emotional safety. They're not supposed to walk around worrying about triggering an adult's sadness. But Lonnie has been doing this for years. By the time her mother emerges, red-eyed but composed, Lonnie is smiling. A small, brave, forced little smile. "Mummy, I cleaned the house so you can rest," she says, proud of doing something helpful. Her mother hugs her, touched and guilty all at once. "You're such a big girl," she whispers, and Lonnie feels a warmth in her chest, but also something colder, something heavier, because she does not know if being such a big girl is supposed to hurt this much. She goes to bed feeling like she saved a day, and she goes to sleep believing that this is what love looks like. That love means being needed, that love means being useful, that love means not being a burden. She is 8 years old, and already she is raising herself. The shift comes quietly, not at 9, not at 10, but somewhere around 12 years old, when childhood begins to slip through her fingers like water she can't hold on to. It is the day Lonnie's mother collapses in the kitchen after working 3 night shifts back to back. It is the day the power goes out, and Lonnie stands on a stool with a flashlight, trying to figure out the fuse box. It is the day the landlord comes by to remind them of overdue rent, and her mother is too ashamed to open the door, so Lonnie lies and says she isn't home. It is the night Lonnie cooks dinner for the first time, burning her hand but refusing to cry because crying makes things harder. It is the moment she realizes she can't rely on anyone, so she becomes the person everyone relies on. She makes the mental shift from, "I am a child who needs support," to, "I am the support." This is the death of childhood. Not a dramatic event, not a sudden catastrophe, but a psychological crossing over, a quiet internal funeral, where the child buries her own innocence because no one is available to protect it. From that moment on, Lonnie stops asking for help. She stops expecting comfort. She stops believing she is allowed to fall apart. She becomes composed. She becomes responsible. She becomes mature. People begin to admire her. You're so grown for your age. You're so responsible. You're so strong. You don't give anyone trouble. What they don't see is that she learned these traits the same way some children learn to swim, because she was thrown into deep water with no one to pull her out. The shift moment is when a child realizes no one is coming. And once that realization settles into their bones, it never really leaves. Lonnie's story is not unusual. It is not rare. It is not dramatic. It is not exceptional. It is painfully, devastatingly common. There are millions of children around the world who are applauded for their maturity, praised for their strength, and admired for their calmness, without anyone realizing that these traits are not signs of healthy development. They're survival mechanisms. The mature child is almost always a child who had to adapt to instability, financial instability, emotional instability, parental instability, or environmental instability. They become the emotional therapist of the household, the mediator between feuding adults, the responsible older sibling, the one who hides their own needs, the one who doesn't complain, the one who doesn't make mistakes, the little adult everyone depends on. And as these children grow up, society continues to reward them for the same trauma-born traits. The workplace praises them, "You're so reliable." Friends praise them, "You always know what to do." Partners praise them, "You're so understanding. You never ask for much." People love them for the very same reasons they once suffered. And because everyone keeps praising their strength, they have no language to express the fact that they feel tired, lonely, unseen, and emotionally malnourished, because the world doesn't see the damage. It sees the performance. The dark truth is that our society is full of people who grew up too fast. People who are chronologically adults, but emotionally undernourished. People who can manage crises with grace, but fall apart when asked what they truly need. People who know how to take care of everyone except themselves. Growing up too fast is not a rare tragedy. It is a quiet epidemic. And most never realize how deeply it shaped them until something triggers the old wound they never had the chance to process. Here is the part that hurts. Growing up too fast does not make you mature. It makes you hypervigilant. It makes you self-sacrificing. It makes you emotionally avoidant. It makes you terrified of depending on anyone. It makes you believe love is earned, not given freely. It makes you feel guilty for resting, asking, needing, or receiving. It turns you into a people pleaser, a perfectionist, a caretaker, someone who is constantly doing, constantly giving, constantly managing, because the child inside you still believes, if I stop being useful, I will stop being loved. The dark side of growing up too fast is that the child learns to parent themselves, but they do so with a child's understanding of the world. They internalize dangerous beliefs. If I don't take care of everything, everything will fall apart. My emotions make life harder for others. It's safer to be the strong one. Meeting others is weakness. Relaxing means letting your guard down. I must earn my place in other people's lives. These beliefs follow them into adulthood like shadows. Adults who grew up too fast are often 1. High-functioning but internally exhausted. They are capable, organized, productive, reliable, but they are always tired in a way sleep does not fix. 2. Emotionally intelligent but emotionally starved. They can comfort others effortlessly, yet they feel uncomfortable when someone tries to comfort them. 3. Independent to a fault. They refuse help, even when they need it, because dependence feels dangerous. 4. Calm in chaos but anxious in peace. They thrive in emergencies because chaos is familiar. Stillness is not. 5. Loved by many but known by none. People admire them. People respect them. People rely on them. But very few people truly see them. Because they learn to hide their wounds behind competence, their insecurities behind responsibility, their loneliness behind independence. And the saddest part, they often don't realize anything is wrong. Because for them, survival mode is normal. They have been living in it since childhood. When you grow up too fast, you become an adult long before you ever become a person. You learn how to care for others before you learn how to care for yourself. You learn how to be reliable before you learn how to be free. You learn how to survive before you learn how to live. And that is the tragedy. You heal your environment, but you abandon yourself. The dark truth is that growing up too fast is a form of emotional displacement, a life where you never quite know what it feels like to be held, to be cared for, to be comforted, to be safe. Instead, you learn to hold everyone else. You become the anchor. You become the rock. You become the foundation. And no one asks if you're tired of being the one who doesn't break. Here is the true psychological wound. When you grow up too fast, you spend your entire adult life trying to recover the childhood you never had, but you feel ashamed for wanting it. You feel childish for wanting affection. You feel needy for wanting reassurance. You feel dramatic for wanting someone to check on you. You feel weak for wanting help because you were trained to believe that your value lies in not needing anything. This is the prison of the prematurely grown. They do not know how to be vulnerable. They do not know how to be cared for. They do not know how to receive love without earning it. They do not know how to let go. And the deeper truth, they do not know who they are without the role they were forced to play. Growing up too fast is one of the most silent forms of loss. There is no funeral. There are no condolences. There is no visible event people can point to and say, "Ah, that is where the hurt came from." It's a slow erosion of innocence, happening quietly in the background of a life that looks functional from the outside. And by the time you realize what was stolen from you, you are already an adult, already wearing the armor, already playing the role the world applauds you for. Sometimes, healing is not about becoming stronger. Sometimes, healing is about allowing yourself to be the child you never were, even if only for a moment. It is about letting yourself rest without guilt, letting yourself ask without shame, letting yourself feel without apologizing, letting yourself receive without earning. It is about whispering to your younger self, "You didn't fail. You shouldn't have had to do any of that. You deserve gentleness too, and maybe, someday, you will learn that maturity is not the absence of need. It is the courage to admit you have them." Healing will not give you back the childhood you lost, but it can give you back something else, something quieter, something softer, something that feels like exhaling after holding your breath for years. It can give you permission to be human, not the strong one, not the responsible one, not the dependable one, just human. Maybe that is the real adulthood. Not the version you entered too early, but the version where you finally learn that you are allowed to be held too. The world may never understand the cost of growing up too fast, but you can. And once you do, you can begin the long, gentle work of learning that you do not have to be a survivor forever. Somewhere inside you, beneath the hyper-independence, beneath the calmness, beneath the competence, there is still a child who deserved more time, more softness, more safety. And maybe healing begins the moment you finally stop running past them and turn back to hold their hand, quietly, tenderly, without rushing, because for the first time in your life, you don't have to grow up fast anymore. You can simply grow.